Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Silver Surfer Rebirth Legacy. This is the second volume. This is the second issue, in fact, of the second volume of the rebirth of the Silver Surfer thing. Basically, it's the two Rons going back in time to right after the Infinity Gauntlet series. And they're telling all these new stories, but they're traveling in time. And somebody shows up in this comic book that I wasn't expecting to see. And it's really just another version of a character. Let's get talking about who made this comic book, guys, because this blew my mind. And I'm just like, oh. Anyways, so this issue is called Bad Timing. Ron Mars is the writer. Ron Lim is on pencils. Don Ho and on inks. And Romulo Fierro Jr. doing the colors. So let's see what we got here. We got Ron, Don, and Rom. Oh my God, if Rom the Space Knight showed up in this, I would completely freak out. That would be amazing. I know we can't because of the licensing of a dinky toy company, but I said what I said. That would be absolutely absurdly amazing. Oh my God. Hey, did you know VC's Joe Sabino is doing the letters? And Silver Surfer was created by Stan Lee and Jack frickin' Kirby, baby. This is a spectacular comic book, guys. Holy crap. It's comic books like this that give me hope that maybe some of the lesser comic book writers, I'm not going to say any names, but let's just be realistic. Some of the comic book writers out there can't write comic books. They're just not built for it. All right, like at the end of the day, I don't know if it's a genetics thing or if they just refuse to learn. If they refuse to go back and read the comic, it's like if you don't like what you do, you're not going to be good at doing it. And if it's a creative endeavor, people are going to stop reading your garbage. In this particular case, and like I said, I'm not naming any names. The only names I'm naming here are the names of the people in this comic book. Because this is a freaking incredible comic book, and it's the way comic books were meant to be done. Fairly fast-paced, at least. And just moving. You know, talk about garbage. The garbage truck is outside. Really? At this time of day? Anyway. This was so good. The Silver Surfer, the Fallen, shows up. Because we find out that Genis-Vell actually gets sent through time. You think he gets sent back in time. No. He goes forward in time. So far in the future that the only creature left really would, I guess, be King Thanos and the Fallen. Now, I don't know exactly what's going on here. I don't know exactly when in the future this is. But the Fallen, that Silver Surfer who spent 1,000 years or so becoming worthy so that he could wield Mjolnir, who went against King Thanos. And this is so absurd because in the next issue they're showing that Silver Surfer and this Black Surfer, the Fallen, are going to be going at it with each other. I'm like bouncing off of walls, ecstatic at how good this is. I feel like a kid again reading this stuff. The comic is moving. We start off with just a little bit of Adam Warlock going at it with Silver Surfer because there's a case of mistaken identity, as there typically is in comic books. We need to see our heroes fight once in a while, and Silver Surfer don't get punked out. Meanwhile, he's begging, but not in a begging way. You have to read the comic book to understand, all right? He's begging, like, please stop. Like, I'm trying to talk to you, bro. But Warlock does have incredible power. And I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm seeing in this, man. We're going back and we're seeing Thanos picking an apple off of what looks like a dead tree, but this is harvest season. So there's a bunch of these little fruits, and he's tasting. It's like perfect. And I got Garden of Eden vibes. And I'm like, hells to the yeah, baby. The Rons and the Don and the Rom know what they're doing. Oh, man. Guys, if comic books were made like this again, the sales would just skyrocket. If all the comics were to just start, just across the board, people were writing comic books like this again. It wouldn't be too hard, I don't think, for enough people like me, not just me, it would take a lot more than just me, to get people back to reading comic books again. So many wonderful things happen in this comic book, and I'm wondering, because when I see what I saw in this comic book, I'm wondering. Thanos, of course, he went off to just live in peace, and Starlin was essentially finished with him, right? But eventually he came back. Cat came back the very next day. And I was wondering what exactly brought Thanos back? Instead of living in peace, what made him come back? Are we actually going to see the Rons explain why he came back? What happened? I have theories. Because Adam Warlock, when he dies, he just goes into a cocoon and he comes back. Now, Thanos has died several times too. Could we see a Thanos cocoon? And that would explain why he comes back, but evil again, not content to just hang up his armor as though it were a scarecrow. This comic book, guys, why is my hair why is that one little thing of hair doing it? Just stay there. This comic book gets me feeling like a freaking kid again. I don't know that there are words to explain how good this is. You want to get the trade, get the trade. You want to get a monthly comic book that you're going to read it and you get to feel that exhilaration of, I can't wait for the next issue again. And you got to kind of put it out of your mind. And then the next issue comes out in another month. And you're sitting there and you see the comic book on the shelf and you're like, oh, this is one way to do it. This is fantastic. Guys, I'm going to leave you at that. Check out this comic book. Check out some of the comic books from some of the older guys. Go back and check out some of the older volumes. Do what you got to do, all right? So you can see what I'm talking about when I say the way that comic books were always meant to be written. This is, and drawn, obviously. I mean, if you're a good drawer, you're a good drawer. You're a good artist, you're a good artist, right? But there is still storytelling with that. Ron Lim is one of the greatest comic book artists that have ever walked God's green earth. And that's just a fact, all right? And the best people in the business, including George freaking Perez, have said so. So, I mean, there's that. And Ron Mars is just one of those guys from that era when even if he was the worst, and he wasn't, but even if he was the worst of the people back then writing comic books, he'd still be amongst the top today. It is what it is. But look at this comic book. Go back, act like Jim Shooter would say, when he would sit down and he would just study comic books for 4 years. Sit down and actually study the way that some of these comic books are written. This comic book series alone, the previous volume, regular Silver Surfer Rebirth, look at how these comic books are done. And say, it just seems so simple. And make no mistake, Ron Mars has one of the simplest writing styles that there is as far as writing the script the Mar-Vell way for the artist to see. He has one of the most straightforward out there. And yet, he's still taking all of those storytelling elements. He's putting them together. And he's making this. I couldn't be happier. Guys, make sure you're checking out these comic books. You're not going to be sorry. Don't get FOMO. All right? Do people still say FOMO? I said FOMO. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bell Comic Book University. Class dismissed.